hVIVO's full year results landed this morning, showing another record year for revenue and EBITDA, along with some major strategic progress across the business. I'm joined now by Dr. Mo Khan, CEO of hVIVO, to talk through the numbers, the outlook for 2025, and what this all means for investors. Mo, great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me on again.
That's our pleasure, our pleasure. So, another milestone year for hVIVO. What's been driving the strong momentum, and what stood out for you most in 2024?
You're correct. Yes, it's been a bit of a transformational year for the company in 2024. So we grew revenue by around 12% to just under £63 million. We converted that revenue at a 26% EBITDA margin. That's an EBITDA around £16 million. We did have some one-off facility fee, but even taking that into account, the underlying EBITDA margin sits at 23%, which is a healthy number for any business such as ours. We also had a 33% increase in the basic adjusted EPS, and we again generated a good amount of cash and ended at £44 million at the end of last year. And to be honest, it's down to the team, the commitment, the effort to deliver on these strong numbers, while at the same time moving to a brand new facility. And it's pretty awesome what they've managed to achieve. So we've now have the largest facility of its kind in the world, where I'm sitting here. We've also been able to develop new challenge models. We've added new service line, and we've also just completed 2 acquisitions. So 2024, an amazing year, and thank you for everyone at the hVIVO Group in doing so well.
Oh, well, congratulations. Fantastic. And you and the team have performed so well. I'm sure shareholders are delighted with everything you've done. But talking about shareholders there, will you be continuing the dividend policy, and when should investors expect the next payout?
Yeah, so we should be issuing around 1.4 million pounds in dividend, which is around 0.2p per ordinary share on the 11th of June. And this is for those shareholders on the register by the 16th of May.
Okay. You've also talked a lot in the past about your 3-pillar of growth strategy, so optimize, scale, and diversify. And, it seems to have certainly taken shape across 2024 and into this year. Can you give us a quick walkthrough of the key highlights and sort of each pillar?
Absolutely. So, we talk about these kind of words almost as intangible. And I think it's always good to see, okay, what do they actually mean in real life? So what have you actually done to reflect these kind of fancy words that some marketing person has put into your kind of strategy document? So with optimize, we moved into the world's first ever 50-bed human challenge trial unit. So the whole facility was built to fit for purpose of running human challenge trials. So we have a 2-way call center, which means that the communication between the clinicians and the volunteers is much more efficient. So in the old facility, for example, every time a patient wanted to speak to one of our nurses or doctors, they would knock on the door from inside the room, and our nurse, for example, would have to wear the full PPE gear before they could enter the room. Now with a 2-way system, the communication is much more faster, much more easier. We have a pneumatic chute, which I personally love, because it means that the lab samples can travel from the patient to the lab within seconds. Previously, we had multiple sites. So one of our lab technicians would need to go all the way downstairs, across the road, up the lift or stairs, and get a sample and come back all the way again. Now, this happens in barely seconds. So all these things help to improve the quality and the efficiency of delivering human challenge trials. On top of that, we've invested in technology. So we have a new volunteer management system. So it's much easier, for example, for our volunteers to plan their visit dates in the calendar. So our volunteers can now self-book what time and what day they want to come in and visit to our clinics. And that helps them from planning their purposes. But also, we on our side, we know, for example, if the volunteers prefer to be emailed or text or WhatsApp or whatever, and we have put that into the system to be able to use the best channel of communication to keep them better engaged. With regards to scale, well, we have a 50-bedroom facility, which is the world's largest facility of its kind. We've doubled our outpatient capacity to 32 beds in Plumbers Row. We've doubled our lab capacity through the acquisition of CRS. We've added 120 new beds in Germany. through the acquisition of Cryostore, we've added 32 freezers for biospecimen storage. So you can see across all of the different kind of places, we are able to show that we've taken tangible action to deliver on those three factors.
Well, it's great to see you do that. Very often you see management's putting these statements out and you think it's just a collection of sort of Harvard Business School buzzwords. So it's great to see a company actually delivering on the sort of strategy and how they're going to do that. And talking about that, I mean, last time we spoke, we were talking about a couple of acquisitions you made, CRS, and added 2 clinical research units to the platform. How's that integration progressing so far? And what's the broader significance for yourself and hVIVO future sort of capabilities, I suppose?
Yeah, so one of the key things for us was the diversification of our services. So we do want to be just a pure human challenge trial player. So this is where CRS brings in their early phase capabilities. So we can now run first in human clinical trials. We can run phase 1, phase 2 trials. We can also run renal hepatic impairment trials in Germany, which we didn't have the capabilities to run before. So we completed the acquisition of CRS just over 2 months ago. It feels a lot longer, to be honest, considering the amount of work that the team has already undertaken. We've done the initial audits. No surprises, things are going as planned. We've changed the reporting structure. And the team in CRS is very motivated to be part of the hVIVO group. So both parties are working really well together. We merged the sales and marketing efforts already, so they work as a team together. We've identified around just under 1 million euros worth of cost savings already. We've also identified around 1.8 million euros worth of cross-selling opportunities in the CRS sales pipeline. So far, so good. I'm very pleased to have acquired CRS at a pretty good price, to be honest, well, 0.5 times the revenue. And the team is very capable. Their expertise and experience is second to none with regards to doing phase 1, phase 2 trials in Germany.
Okay. And of course, the other acquisition in 24 was Cryostore. And if my memory serves me correctly, that was to strengthen up your lab services offering. How's that integration going? What role is Cryostore play in the sort of H lab?
So that's much simpler, to be honest. I don't want to, big something up that doesn't require a lot of work. It's basically 3 employees, 1 site. So that integration is much more easier to manage and handle. And the other key thing is we've been working with Cryostore for 15 to 20 years. They're one of our key vendors of the biospecimen storage. So we know them really well. They know us really well. So it's really good to see that integration happen already. Now, they've added 32 freezers to our capabilities. We also hired a new BD person to basically dedicate the sales for hLab, and Cryostore sits under the hLab banner. So from that point of view, now we've got active sales and marketing tasks ongoing, and that should result in increase in pipeline and more work in the future.
I was one part I was disappointed to read was the fact that the founder and chairman Cathal Friel is going to step down in the next AGM. I remember Cathal coming in to see me many years ago when it was open orphan, of course, and he was very excited. And I think that must be a testament to you and the team that he feels confident enough in your capabilities that he can hand over the sort of his baby, I suppose. So just in what can you reflect a bit on his contribution and what this kind of transition, I should say, means for the company?
Yeah, I mean, the basic the reason is this company wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Cathal Friel. It's simple as that, to be honest. He identified 2 loss-making companies at that time, Venn Life Sciences and hVIVO. He brought them together. The turnaround was difficult. At one point, he had to basically dip in his own pocket to continue the viability of the business. So absolutely, I think he's done an amazing job. I work with him now for just over 3 years, and he's been a great leader, really good vision. I think the people we have worked with across the board, most of them have been due to the efforts of Cathal and the rest of the board too. So, no, we will definitely miss him. Like I said, it is an end of an era. He's decided not to stand again at the next AGM, and hopefully he feels that the company is now at a good place, and he's done his part, and he wants to leave it to someone else to take the help going forward. In that sense, the nomination committee is now in the process of identifying and selecting a new chairperson, and we will, of course, update the market as and when that takes place. But I do want to take this opportunity to thank Cathal for all his efforts. I'm sure everybody at hVIVO Group will miss him.
Well, he certainly is one of the busiest men I know, so I'm pretty confident he will find someone else to fill his time. Uh, um, I suppose we'd be amiss to have this interview without sort of talking about the elephant in the room at the moment, and that's and there's a lot of investors keeping a close eye on the current biotech funding climate. Not to mention some of the regulatory shifts going on in the US, particularly with the FDA. What are your thoughts on this environment right now, and how is hVIVO going to navigate this?
Yeah. I think it's a fair concern, right, from everybody. The current market conditions are very volatile. I don't think any economist is out there who can predict what's going to happen tomorrow. Never mind next month or next year. It's a very difficult situation at the moment, but we are somewhat protected. I mean, healthcare in itself is a fairly defensive sector. We do rely on biotech work, but we also rely more heavily on the big pharma. And big pharma tend to be more stable, and they have long-term funding to put into human challenge trials, for example. And we're pleased that we have a few big pharma clients that work with us on a repeat business, which is really gives us good stability. Also, with regards to the biotech, of course, human challenge trials are generally speaking much cheaper to run and much faster to run than a phase 2 field trial. So if there is some conditional kind of funding or reduced funding available to biotech, then a human challenge trial could be a good way out. On the FDA and all the anti-vaxxer sentiment, I mean, that's a difficult one to predict. I mean, I read yesterday, for example, that they're now moving back towards the use of the vaccine since we've seen the increase in measles incidents in some of the states in the US. But we are equally adept at running antiviral trials as we are with regards to vaccine trials. So if there is a reduction in vaccine usage or development, the logical step would be there'll be increase in infections. And that will basically mean there'll be increase in R&D spending against in antivirals. And human challenge trials are a really good way to measure the efficacy of antivirals. So from our point of view, we still feel very confident that we have a very good business model, and we can do vaccines and antivirals. And now with CRS, we can do other non-infectious disease trials too.
Great. Interesting. So finally then, looking to the rest of 2025 and beyond, how's the order book shaping up? I know I was sort of pestering you with that. And what can investors expect from the pipeline in the many months ahead?
Well, we converted a record amount of revenue last year. So that had an impact on, of course, on the order book, but we still ended up with around £6-7 million in order book at the end of last year. So this year, our target is to achieve around £73 million in revenue. And at the moment, we have around 70% of that already contracted. And the start of 25 has been really good. So we signed a couple of really good contracts. One of the major milestones I feel we achieved this year is to sign the LOI with Iliad, which will be our first bacterial challenge trial. But more importantly, it will be the first phase 3 pivotal human challenge trial. In the case that for this particular indication, for this study, the FDA is open to reviewing the human challenge trial data to gain market authorization to Iliad for their product. And this is the first of its kind. And it does kind of change the regulatory outlook going forward of what human challenge trial could look like going forward and what role they will play in the clinical development programs for companies in the future. On top of that, of course, we've launched the Omicron challenge model. We've also launched the HMPV challenge model. And HMPV is another area of increased concern for the community. And we saw increase in incidents in China not so long ago. So we have high hopes for our HMPV model. But all in all, I'm very confident, and I'm still well placed to hit a £100 million target in 2028.
Well, I'm sure investors and shareholders are likely delighted to hear that sentiment. Thank you again, Mo. As always, it's great to hear your insights, plenty of momentum behind the business, and clearly lots to look forward to in the year ahead. So I wish you and the team continued success.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.